Okay, let's move on to a battle of another kind. We're talking about militaries and battles. Now let's move to the political battle that has erupted with your party rallying behind Rahul Gandhi. Now, Sachin, why are you defending a case which prima facie seems to actually have some very serious charges, which is basically that 800 crores of assets that belong to the AGL company are then taken over by the Young Indian company in which Sonia Gandhi and her son Rahul Gandhi are the sort of stakeholders, the shareholders. And the Enforcement Directorate says that these assets of 800 crores have actually been transited using a 50 lakh loan via a shell company, and no one is paying tax on this. You know the charges. I'm just repeating them for the benefit of our audience. Do you not think prima facie something seems very dodgy here?
Okay, the problem is that there is a propaganda machinery out there giving all sorts of conflicting numbers and data and the timelines. What happened, what everybody should know really, is that there was a newspaper about 100 years old which went bankrupt, and the Congress party tried to bail it out. Now, the company they talked about that Mrs. Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi are shareholders of is a not-for-profit company. Not a single paisa has been transacted, salaries drawn, assets moved, no transaction of any sort. It was just the Congress party giving out a loan to a newspaper that has history embedded within the Congress culture. I don't think anything wrong in that. And by the way, when you ask a question, you can investigate. This is 7 years old. It's being rigged up now. You're summoning institutions. But the problem is that the blatant misuse of the CBI, the income tax, and the ED is now more than apparent. I mean, now you don't have to say it also. The world and the country knows that agencies are being under undue pressure from political party who are ruling the country today to target opposition leaders. How many people from the BJP have been raided or summoned in the last 8 years? So it's only the people who oppose BJP, who are anti the ideology of the BJP, are prime targets. And Congress party, being the principal opposition party, they think, why answer questions about inflation and jobs and price rise, etc. This is attack the source, which is the leadership in the Congress party, make them vulnerable, make them look like they've done something wrong. And we have nothing to hide. I think all the questions that were asked to Rahul Gandhi, he's answered them. Any further question, they'll still keep answering it. But this fabricated narrative about wrongdoing, etc., even before the questioning is over. I mean, I heard some news reports about a question was asked and answer was given. Who does the selective leakages when the discussion and questioning is going on? How come that information is coming out? So there's a lot of media management, a lot of narrative that is being, doctored to suit certain individuals who are running the government. But generally, I can tell you that we believe there is a pure political pressure put on opponents of the BJP, and they're using every agency with their command to discourage, to character assassinate, to paint people in a bad light just because you oppose the BJP. And it's a fact. So my opposition personally also is that if ED and CBI, income tax, are only meant to target political opponents, are only meant to deliver justice that suits the government of India. So that's the opposition of the Congress party. I think there's nothing wrong if we are trying to protest. But look at the way that the Delhi police has handled all of this last 3 or 4 days. To enter the Congress party's office, to do a lathi charge, to put leaders under detention and the house arrest, to take them to police stations. We just wanted a peaceful satyagraha. We had no mics, we had no stages, we had no bhashans to give, just a quiet march to protest what we believe was wrong. As a political party, I'm within my right to oppose what I think is wrong. But to muzzle the voice of opposition, to try and force people not to voice their opinion, that's something that's never happened in the national capital, and it happened blatantly 3 days.
Yeah. So, of course, eventually the judicial process will have to decide guilt and innocence. I have just one more question on the case itself, which is that you mentioned that Young Indian is a not-for-profit company. The other charge being made is that this is a not-for-profit that has done no charity work at all other than the running of this newspaper, and nobody is quite clear, whether this newspaper is actually a commercial venture. It isn't, so how do you justify, and I know that's the main defense, that Mr. Gandhi and his mother have not benefited from the assets of this company because it's a not-for-profit, so nothing's coming to them. But if it's a not-for-profit, then where is the not-for-profit work?
So the company was registered to help this newspaper retire its debt. And about the 90 crores that the Congress party gave as a loan to the organization, about 68-70 crores were given as VRS, employees, pensions, packages. So they had all those employees work for decades. They had to be paid off. The party tried to help a newspaper that was not able to meet its debts. So Young India was created just for that similar purpose. And as far as Mrs. Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi are concerned, if they had done any transactions, taken in salaries, made some monetary profit, none of that has happened. So this is just again like the 2G thing, there's a presumptive loss, someone did something, and today, 5 years later, nothing has come out of it. So you can make allegations for the time being. It makes you look bad in the people's eyes, but it's an attempt to, to discredit anybody. Ultimately, the investigation will reveal if it's a fair and unbiased investigation, there'll be nothing that will come out of it. But right now, just to oppose and to make someone look bad, the government is trying all that it can. The agencies, Barkha, are clearly working under pressure, because I can tell you, data will also tell you, in the last 7 or 8 years, it's only been the opposition parties who have been questioned, raided, searched, summoned, notices given, and nobody close to the power centers has ever been touched. So this sort of approach is something that makes people really wonder as to, is the government doing its job of delivering on its promises, or is just there, to take revenge on political opponents?